Hello and welcome coders to the Sky Coding. This is chapter 12, and in this session we will see about clustered and non-clustered index, which is a very important concept related to indexing. In the previous session we have covered all of the indexing concepts, so the link for the previous indexing session is given in the description box. You can watch that session from there. We have also covered how can we create index, drop index, show index, and we have seen about the unique index, so you can watch from there. So let's get started without wasting any time, and we will see about the clustered and non-clustered index. Okay. So before doing the practical of clustered and non-clustered index, let's first of all see some of the concepts about these things. What is the clustered index and what is a non-clustered index? Because there will be lots of MCQ questions, and in the interviews, interviewer will ask you lots of questions related to this topic. So I have written few points related to this indexing, clustered index and non-clustered index, and we have also written the differences. Okay, so basically what is an index? We have already seen in the previous session. Meanwhile, just revise that what is an index. Okay, so index are basically used to speed up the query process in SQL, which will result to the high performance. Suppose that you are just trying to fetch any of the data from the table, then if you are using the indexing, then data fetching from the table will be very high and it will not consume the resources, and there will be a less cost also. Okay, this is just very similar to textbook indexes. Okay, in textbook, if you need to go to particular chapter, you go to the index page and find the page number of that chapter, and you will just directly go to that page. Okay, and without indexing, the process of finding your desired chapter would have been very slow. Okay, and that will be just a very time consuming as well, and that's not a good practice. Okay, so index is a very important concept if you are talking about the books, notebooks, and if you are talking about the database. So it is a very important thing everywhere. Okay, and as this is related to our book, so it is just the same in the applies to the database as well. Without indexes, the DBMS has to go to all of the records in the table in order to retrieve the desired results. Okay, if you are not having any of the index in any of the table, then whenever you will fetch any of the data, then that will just move in the whole of the table. It will just scan the full table, and this will be just a very slow process, and it will be very time consuming. Okay, so this process called table scanning. It will scan the full table, and this will be very slow. Okay, that's why this is not a good practice. On the other hand, if you will create any of the indexes, then database will just go to that index first and then retrieve that corresponding table records directly. Okay, it will not scan the full table. Okay, so that says the many advantages and pros about the index. Okay, so there are basically two types of indexes which are available to us in the SQL. First one is clustered index, and the second one is non-clustered index. So let's see about the clustered index. Okay, so whenever you will create any of the primary key in the table metadata, then clustered index will be by default automatically created. Okay, you can see I have written here of this point. When you create a primary key, clustered index is automatically created by the name of the primary. Okay, so a clustered index defines the order in which data is stored in the table, which can be sorted in only one way. So there can be only one single clustered index in every table. Okay, whenever you will create any of the table, then clustered index will be created, and it will help you to sort out the data in the particular ascending order. Okay, which will be very helpful to you. Okay, we will see this thing in practical. We are going to do the practical now. After that, after learning these concept, we will do the practical. Then your concept of this clustered index will be very clear. Okay, and meanwhile, just take this that clustered index defines the order in which data is stored, and this is just very helpful while sorting of the data. Okay, and there can be only one clustered index in the one table. Okay, and the data accessing will be very fast if you are just working with a clustered index. Okay, and we will do the practical, then you will better understand this. Okay, now let's see about the non-clustered index. So whenever you will create a unique key, then non-clustered index will be automatically created. Okay, whether you create a unique key or the composite key, then non-clustered index will automatically be created. Okay, so this is the difference. Whenever you are creating a primary key, then clustered index will automatically created, and whenever you are creating a unique key or the composite key, non-clustered index will be created. The indexes other than primary indexes, clustered indexes are called the non-clustered index. Okay, yeah, except these clustered and primary indexes, all of the rest indexes are called non-clustered index. You can call this non-clustered indexes as secondary indexes as well, and it does not sort the data. Okay, as here in the clustered index, we are having the sorting. Okay, we will see this thing when we will do the practical. A non-clustered index sorts the data. A non-clustered index stores the data at one location and indexes at the other location. Okay, so basically if you are working with the clustered index, then all that index and the data is stored at the same location, means on the same table only. Okay, and that's basically a part of that data. Okay, but in the non-clustered index, data is stored at one place and the index is stored at the other place. Okay, the index contains the pointers to that location. Okay, suppose that you have indexes stored at one place, place A, and you have data stored at place B. Okay, and there will be just a pointing type of thing. There will be just a referencing that point A, this data is just referencing to point B, this data. Okay, so there will be just a pointers which will just point out the location of the data. Okay, and a single table can have many non-clustered indexes, as index is just stored on any other place and data is stored in the other places. So there may be any number of non-clustered index you can create. Okay, and non-clustered index is just the same as a book. Okay, where suppose that, let's take an example for the book. In the book we are having lots of chapters in one place and we are having index on the single page. Okay, as book where the content is written at the one place and the index is written at a different place. Okay, this type of indexing will help you to improve the performance. Okay, not clustered index allows you to add a unique key. We have already seen this. Okay, we will do the practical, then your concepts will be more clear. Okay, and if you talk about the example, so let me tell you one most important example of the clustered index. Okay, you can take a clustered index and a dictionary. Okay, a dictionary. Okay, okay, yeah, if the spelling for dictionary is not correct, then pardon me for this thing. We will see this thing later on. Okay, dictionary. Okay, so dictionary is just an example of the clustered index. Why dictionary is an example of clustered index? Because suppose that you are searching in dictionary, you are searching for the letter B. Okay, you are searching for the alphabet B. So in the whenever you will visit to that B page, in that B is also a part of that data. Whatever data is written in that page, means suppose that B is written on that page. Okay, and there are lots of words meanings are given on that page. So B is also a part of that data. Okay, so this is a dictionary is an example of clustered index. We will see this thing when we will do the practical, then your concepts will be more clear. Okay, and if you talk about the non-clustered index, so here a content page of a book, okay, is an example of non-clustered index. Why it is an example of non-clustered index? Because this content page is stored at the very starting of the book or any notebook, but rest of the chapters are written after that. Okay, and all of the indexes are stored at one place and all of the data storage, means all of the chapters are stored and after that index. Okay, means indexing is done at one place and all of the data is stored at the other place. Okay, so this is about clustered index and non-clustered index. Now here are some of the differences which I have written. We will see the differences later on. Now we will do the practical. So now let's do the practical and let's see about clustered and non-clustered index. Okay, so this is a simple metadata of the employee table which I have created, and this is just we are entering the data. Okay, that's all we have written. Okay, and now we will all do all of the things in front of you so that your concepts will be more clear related to this clustered and non-clustered. Okay, so this is a simple table. First of all, we will just create this simple table without any key. Okay, as we have seen in the clustered index, first of all, we will see about a clustered index. Okay, so we have seen about clustered index, and I have told you that in clustered index, whenever we create any primary key, then by default clustered index will be created with the name of primary. Okay, so first of all, we are not going to create any type of key here, neither primary key nor any key. Okay, so first of all, let me create this table. You can see table created successfully, and we are going to insert this data. Okay, so let's insert this data. Data is also inserted successfully. Okay, so here what I have done, I have just entered the data in some random values. Okay, so we have not written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This data is just in a random numbers. Okay, this data is not sorted in either ascending or descending order. Okay, this is just in a random 5, 3, 2, 6, 4, 1. Okay, so as I have told you that whenever you will create a clustered index, that then data will be stored in the sorted order, means in the ascending order by default. Okay, so here I have inserted the data without any order in the random number. Okay, so if we will check the data, then you can see in the table also we are having the same data in the random order. Okay, so it will be just very difficult to search the data like this way without any of the indexing. Okay, here in the table, we have not created any of the index. You can see we have not created any of the index. We have not created any of the primary key, neither unique key, neither composite key. So here we are not having any type of index, okay, and we have inserted the data in some random numbers, and that data is got inserted in the table with the random numbers, and whenever we are fetching the data, so we are getting the data like that way only, okay. And whenever we will try to fetch any particular data, then our query have to fetch the data by scanning the full table, okay, and this will be just a very time consuming. We have seen this thing, so for that we have to create a clustered index. So let me tell you that how can you create the clustered index on any other table, okay. So we have basically two methods for creating a clustered index. You can create the clustered index while creating a table, or you can just alter the table later on and you can just add the clustered index to that table, okay. So as now we are having this table, we have inserted the data and we have seen that how we are getting the data in the random number. We are not getting the data in the sorted order. So if you want your data to in the sorted order means in the ascending order 1 2 3 4 5 like this way. So for that you have to create a clustered index. Let me tell you how can you add the clustered index later on, okay. So for that you have to alter your table. You have to write alter command, alter table, and my table name is employee. So alter table employee, you have to add constraint, okay, add constraint, and let me give as employee primary key, employee pk, and I'm just adding the constraint as primary key, and I am just adding the clustered index, okay. So I will just write here clustered, and after that you have to write your column, okay, which column you want as a clustered index. So I want our employee id, so I will just write here employee id, and I will close this and I will give the semicolon, okay. So this is how you can just create a clustered index on any table, and this is just a one method. By altering the table you can do, and by just creating a table also you can do, okay. There are two methods. I will tell you all those methods, okay. So let's see the data. You can see we are getting the data in the random numbers, means we are not getting the data in the sorted order, okay. So whenever we will just execute this command and create a clustered index, then we will get all of the data in the sorted order, okay, in the ascending order, okay. Let me create a clustered index, then we will see. You can see clustered index is created successfully, and now whenever we will execute this select query, you can see we are getting all of the data in the sorted order 1 2 3 4 5 6, okay. This data is sorted according to ascending order, okay. So this is the just a work of clustered index. Now our sorting is done, means our data is sorted in the ascending order, and now we can just fetch any of the data based on this indexing, and our sorting and searching will be very easy. It will not consume more time. It will, whenever you will fetch any of the data, then that data will be just scanned and based on the index value, and that data will be shown to the user. Means it will not scan the full table, and this will not be very costly as well, and it will not consume the resources as well, okay. So this is the use of clustered index, that how can you create a clustered index and what is the work, okay. So this is the one method I have told you how can you create a clustered index, and there is we are having the another method. When as I have told you one thing, that whenever you will create a table, then by default whenever you give any column as a primary key, then by default that primary key column will be as a clustered index, okay. So let me tell you that thing. Suppose that this is my employee id, okay, and I am just defining this as a primary key, okay, and we are not going to do anything here, okay. And let me give here employee temp, okay. So this is the new table which I am going to create, okay. So employee temp table is created now, and let's insert the data here, okay. And see, in the similar way we are inserting the same data in the random order, but now whenever we are going to check the data here, then that data will be in the sorted order. Why it will be in the sorted order? You can see 1 2 3 4 5 we are getting the data in the employee temp table in the sorted order. Why we are getting? Because here we have defined this employee id as a primary key, and I have already told you that the primary key column is just by default treated as a clustered index, okay. We have written this thing in here, okay. You can see here, okay, whenever you create a primary key, clustered index is automatically created by the primary, okay, by the primary name, okay. So here we have not altered the table. Here on the table creation metadata only we have defined this employee id column as a primary key, then this is just creating as a clustered index, okay. And we are getting all of the data in the sorted order, in the ascending order. You can see in the employee temp table also we are getting the data in the sorted order, and if you will check the data in the employee table, then in the employee table also we are getting the data in the sorted order. You can see, but we have inserted the data in the random order. Earlier we are getting the data in the random order because we have not defined any of the clustered index. Okay, so this is all about the clustered index. So now let's see about non-clustered index. As we have covered about non-clustered index in the theory, we have told you that whenever we will create a unique key, then by default non-clustered index will be created, and whenever we will create a primary key, then by default clustered index will be created. Okay, so we will be doing the non-clustered index now. So for that, let me copy the things from earlier instead of writing those things again and again, because we are going to use the same things here as well in the non-clustered index. Okay, so let's change the name to employee sky, and let's remove this primary key from here, because as we are working with the non-clustered index. So first of all, as I have already told you, and we used that clustered index, we are creating by two methods. Okay, we can use the table creation metadata for creating a clustered index, or we are just entering that table later. Okay, and in the similar way, we are having the two methods for creating a non-clustered index. And so first of all, we will just create this a simple table without a unique key. As whenever we will create a unique key, then by default non-clustered index will be created. So first of all, we will create this table simple. Then we will alter the table, and we will try to create a non-clustered index there. Okay. So let me create this table, and let's execute. You can see table is created successfully, and now we are going to insert the data in this table. Okay, so table name is employee sky, and we are going to insert this data. This data is in random number. Now let's verify the data whether it is inserted or not. So let's verify the data. Okay, so we are getting the data in the random numbers, means it's not sorted. Okay, so now what we will do, we will just alter this table, and we will try to create a non-clustered index there. Okay, so for that, as our table is already created, so we will just alter this table, and let me copy this, and let me create a non-clustered index here. Okay, so let's paste here alter table. My table name is, this time my table name is employee sky, and we are going to add the constraint, and let's give name of the constraint as let's give the name of the constraint as employee sky. And this time we are going to create a unique key. As I have already told you that whenever you will create a unique key, then a non-clustered index will be created, and whenever you will create a primary key, then clustered index will be created. Okay, so unique key I'm just creating here, and here in place of clustered you have to write non-clustered. Okay, so let me change this name to skyy. Okay, so this is my constraint name, and this is a unique key. So whenever we are creating a unique key, then I have told you non-clustered index will be created. Okay, so let's execute this, and let's see whether we are getting. Okay, so now we have just created this non-clustered index, but our data will be same in our table, means data will not be get sorted. Okay, let me show you that data. You can see in our table we are having this data same as it is, as it was earlier. It was just same as now also. If we have created a unique key, then also data is same, it is not sorted. Okay, why it is not sorted? Because I have told you that non-clustered index data will not be sorted in the non-clustered index, because index is just storing at one place and data is storing at the other place. But in clustered index, data will be sorted after creating a primary key or after creating a clustered index. Okay, so this is the difference between clustered index and non-clustered index. If you are facing any type of doubt, then you can just ask me. Okay, so this is all about clustered and non-clustered index. In the clustered index, we have seen two methods. Well, you can just create a primary key, and that primary key will be just created by default as a clustered index, or you can just alter that thing and you can create a clustered index. In the similar way, you can create a unique key here. You can just simply give here, you can just give here unique. Okay, employee ID, and suppose that you want this as unique key. Okay, as I have told you in the unique key video, that in the one table there may be lots of unique key you can create. Okay, suppose that this is employee name, suppose that you want employee names to be unique, so you can do like this, unique. Okay, so like this, if our one table can have multiple unique keys, then one table can also have a multiple non-clustered index. Now let's see the differences between non-clustered index and clustered index. Okay, this is the thing which we have seen about clustered and non-clustered index. So a cluster index is a type of index that sorts the data rows in the table on their values. We have seen this thing. our data is being sorted whenever we are creating the primary key. Okay, and where a non-clustered index stores the data at one location and in the indices at the other location. We have already told you that thing. Okay, data is stored in the data is sorted in the clustered index. Data is not sorted. Okay, data is not sorted in the clustered index. Okay, clustered index only sort the tables, therefore they do not consume extra storage. Okay, so these clustered indexes are just sorting the data which is present in the tables in the rows. Okay, therefore they are not consuming extra storage. But non-clustered indexes are storing the data in the separate table size. Index are storing in the other place, and data is stored in the other place, so they will just need some more storage in comparison with the clustered index. So the clustered index offer faster data access because here we have a sorting. Data is sorted in is present in the sorted also. That data fetching will be very fast here. Okay, and on the other hand, non-clustered index is slower because data is present some in other place and index are present in other place. That's why. Okay, so this is the difference between clustered index and non-clustered index. And that's all about this session. We have seen all of the indexes: clustered, non-clustered index, unique index, and we have seen how can we create alters, drop, and show index. Okay, if you are facing any type of doubt in indexing, then you can just ask me. So that's all for indexing video, and from the next session we will be covering maybe joins, or maybe we will see some of the advanced type of functions. Okay, so that's all for today's session.